All right, welcome everybody to episode 10 of Can We Make Impact Wrestling the best promotion in Total Extreme Wrestling 2013. We have, honestly, we've done quite a bit. We are up to second as the rankings go, right behind the WWE. And then we still have about $99.9 million in the bank, so we're doing pretty decently there. Coming into the final week of August, in July, we took a $224,000 loss. Most of that was from signing a ton of talent, but we did okay. All in all, and that's exactly where we kind of thought we would be. I thought we would lose a little bit more than that, honestly, but it's where we are. Um, we are 3 days away from our next TV taping, which is what we are going to go up to, and we will also talk about the first TNA pay-per-view of 2005, which was Final Resolution in January of 2015. It was the third monthly pay-per-view ever put on by the fledgling promotion at that time in Impact Wrestling. And the main event featured the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. Also, TNA X Division Championship was on the line. The NWA World Tag Team Championships were on the line. A couple of special guests involved in some of this stuff. You also had some pretty familiar names, for the most part, on the card, and some of the dark matches as well. Some up-and-coming names at that time, too. So you'll see, we'll talk about all of those as the day goes on. And as we go on during this broadcast, it is a very special 10th episode. Thank you guys for sticking us out through 10 episodes of this show. I know I've mixed in a little bit of iRacing here and there on the channel, just to kind of shake things up a little bit. I really haven't been playing much else these days. I take that back. I've been playing MLB The Show 19. I've been playing that quite a bit. On the Xbox, I've been kind of goofing around with the Escapists a little bit. I've been playing Detroit Become Human again. I've had that game since the day it was released. Played it for a little while, really got into it, and then it just kind of it hit an unfortunate slide of A, me not having time to play, and B, a bunch of other games came out that I wanted to check out too. It was right in in that wheelhouse of like Spider-Man, and WWE came out, and some of the other sports titles came out. Red Dead 2 came along, and it just snowballed from there, and then I never picked it back up. And then I have my physical copy still, but then when it was free on PlayStation Plus, I went ahead and picked it up again, and got some of that other additional updates and content and all that stuff without having to slide the disc in and do all that stuff. Plus, it came with Heavy Rain, which I didn't have in my library, so really, I mean, two for the price of none for that. So I was pretty happy with that pickup. So I've been playing that a little bit as well. Outside of that, nothing has really taken up a ton of my time. I've had, like I said, I got the new job going on. I finishing up my degree program here. I've got 2 classes left, and the first of which starts tomorrow, and then after that I start my master's program, and it's gonna be pretty wild, gonna be pretty crazy for me, but we're gonna stick through on this and continue to try to make Impact the best wrestling promotion. And getting back into it, if you don't remember where we last left off, we are currently working on negotiations with Kofi Kingston. His contract came up in WWE, so we were quick to try to snatch him up and make him hopefully part of our main event, or upper mid-card at least, picture going forward. So hopefully we can get him signed. I believe there is a 21-day period there for WWE contracts. If they elect to sign somewhere else, I think it might actually depend on when the timing, when they sign the deal versus when the contract ends. So we're pretty early on in his final month of his deal, so it could be before the next pay-per-view, but I don't know if it will be. But we're kind of putting the cart before the horse there. We have to get him signed first. So we'll move on to the next day. While we're doing that, we can talk about Final Resolution. It aired January 16th, 2005. Jeff Hardy was pretty much the poster boy for that, even though he wasn't in the main event match. Jeff took on Scott Hall, and there was a special guest referee, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. But the pre-show featured the Naturals against Johnny B. Bad and Sonny Siaki. Johnny B. Bad, of course, is Mark Miro. And then Chris Candido against Cassidy Riley, in which Chris Candido picked up the win over Cassidy Riley. I'm trying to think if Cassidy Riley had any other names. I'm going to have to look it up. I don't think he did. No, he didn't. Really just TNA for a while. About a 5-year run. Then he went to WWE as Cassidy Riley, and he didn't really have a very long run there. He debuted March, I think. No, January of 07. He was gone by February of 08. When they started releasing guys who were kind of bouncing back and forth between WWE and OVW before FCW, Florida Championship Wrestling, and eventually NXT came along. So that was the two pre-show matches. The first match of the night was a 6-man tag match between Ron Killings, Conan, and Brian James, the 3 Live Crew, taking on Christopher Daniels, Frankie Kazarian, and Michael Shane, in which R-Truth, Conan, and Road Dogg picked up the win. Ron Killings, Conan, and BG James. Really, you could, if you wanted to really get into the nuts and bolts, little piece of trivia, one of the first people under the Max Moon mask was Conan. And when Conan didn't want to do the Max Moon character anymore, because A, it was stupid, and he was right, that really set off this weird sort of animosity between Vince and Conan. I don't know if there was more to that story or not, but there was a lot of iffiness there between Vince and Conan for a little while. The second match of the night was Elix Skipper and Sanjay Dutt, just a straight-up singles match. Elix Skipper picked up the win there. Then the third match of the night featured an appearance by Dustin Rhodes. He beat Kid Cash in a singles competition. Now, this is when Goldust had left the WWE in 2003, and he kind of did the indie thing for a minute or two, then went to TNA for, I want to say, like a year or so. He was there February of 04, and he was gone by April of 05, so he had about a 1-year deal. And then he went to WWE, then he went to Japan, and then he came back to TNA in 2007. And I believe he was gone by 2008. So that's that match, the third match of the night. And let's see here, what do we got? Not much going on there. So we will continue to move towards our TV taping. As we do that, we'll go back to our card here. Eric Watts on the card. Beat Raven 1-on-1 in a singles match. Then we get to the poster boy, Jeff Hardy, taking on Scott Hall. Um, Roddy Piper was the special guest referee for this. Um, Hardy beat Scott Hall, and then Abyss got involved at the end. Debuted a new finisher, the shock treatment. It was a quick match, too. Jeff Hardy beat Scott Hall in about 5.5 minutes. So I don't know if this was... It was nearing the peak of Scott's issues, post WCW, post WWE, all of that. And so, Jeff was dealing with his demons as well. And so there was all of that nonsense going on. And really, these two probably were the last two people that should have been in the ring against one another, because there was nobody to hide the shortcomings of these two. And there was nobody to really kind of step up and say, you know what, this isn't working. We're going to have to find a way around. So that was match number 5. A triple threat elimination match took place between Monty Brown, DDP, and Kevin Nash. This is the first of 2 matches that Monty Brown would have on the night. And basically the winner would go on to challenge Jeff Jarrett for the heavyweight championship at the end of the night. Monty Brown, of course, in WWE was Marcus Corvon. So he had a good little run in TNA. So we'll finish up this this card here in just a moment as we take a look at what's going on. Still nothing happening. Still no movement on our Kofi Kingston negotiations here as we look at the WWE offer not being seriously considered. We are going to go a long time with Kofi. 5-year deal. It's going to cost us a ton of cash to ride with Kofi till he's about 43 years old. So hopefully he can still go at that age. All right, so tomorrow night is our TV taping, so we'll move on here. The 7th match of the night. America's Most Wanted, Chris Harris and James Storm taking on Bobby Roode and Eric Young with Scott D'Amore in their corner. They were the champions, and they went head-to-head for the NWA World Tag Team Championships. This match was an awesome match with a ton of heat, and probably the match of the night, arguably, with the exception of the Ultimate X match for the TNA Division Championship. This one, a lot of people praised as one of the best matches in TNA history, much less this pay-per-view. 10 out of 10. The crowd was super into it. The Ultimate X matches were the matches that consisted of 2 cables connected to the metal structures on either side on 4 corners of the ring, similar to a ladder match where the title was where the 2 cables crossed. The title was placed there, and then there's no ladders, none of that stuff. So it's interesting match concept, lots of opportunity for guys to get hurt, but AJ Styles, Petey Williams, and Chris Sabin pulled it off. Going into the match, Petey Williams was the champion. He was part of Team Canada with Bobby Roode and Eric Young and Scott D'Amore. Chris Sabin in this match as well, and AJ Styles ended up picking up the win in just shy of 20 minutes. And then the main event, which was for the NWA World Heavyweight Championship, Jeff Jarrett against Monty Brown. Jeff Jarrett was the champion going in. Not really a great match. A lot of people seem to think that it was overbooked. I want to say there were a bunch of guitar shots. I think maybe one or Maybe it was only 1 or 2. I don't remember. Anyway, Jeff Jarrett ended up picking up the win in about 16 minutes in a match that was probably, I don't know, 5 minutes too long and really didn't belong as the main event. But you had to space that out between Monty Brown's triple threat match and the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. In hindsight, if you're really booking it, for me, I take the Jeff Hardy Scott Hall match off the card or put him with other people, move it around the card. You lead off with the triple threat elimination match or put it second on the card after the 3 Live Crew, Christopher Daniels, Mike Shane, and Kazarian match. And then probably 5th, 6th, 7th, somewhere in there, you put the NWA World Heavyweight Championship match. So you still have that time for Monty Brown to get rested up and ready to go. And then you main event with either the tag team match or the X Division match. One of those two would have worked out well. Unfortunately, that's not what TNA did. And you really had this hyped up crowd that was really into it. And they were severely let down by the main event, Jeff Jarrett and Monty Brown. It doesn't take anything away from those two. Just wasn't really a great matchup, honestly. So it is what it is, and that was the TNA Final Resolution pay-per-view in front of an audience of 875. That's it, 875. Looking for the buy rate, I don't see it. I'm guessing it probably wasn't that great, given that TNA was really just getting off the ground, and so it happens. I don't know what else to say about that. The next pay-per-view in TNA history, which we'll talk about next episode, was TNA Against All Odds, the February pay-per-view from Orlando, Florida, and it actually had smaller attendance than Final Destination did, and we'll talk about that again tomorrow on tomorrow's episode. Meanwhile, we've got a TV taping to get to, and we've got to figure out what we're going to do for the September pay-per-view, because we've got a lot going on. We're going to be in the Levy Center in the Southwest region. Things are looking good. The title pictures. Our Impact Grand Champion, Marty Scurll, will get an opportunity to face the Impact World Champion, Sami Callihan, for the world title at the September pay-per-view. Following the September pay-per-view, we get to restart the Impact Grand Championship tournament to crown a new Impact Grand Champion, who will then get a title shot in the probably November pay-per-view against whomever is the Impact World Champion at that time. Tessa Blanchard regained her lost women's championship. She's a 2-time champion now. Of course, we mentioned the Impact World Championship, Sami Callihan. Phoenix and Pentagon Jr. have retained their titles after yet another stellar pay-per-view performance. They've had 2 successful defenses after winning the titles in January. And then, of course, Will Ospreay has defended it 4 times, the X Division Championship. It's the most in a while since Tigre Uno back in 2015 to 2016. So Will Ospreay also has the option to cash in the X Division Championship against the world champion Sami Callihan. And what I think I'd like to do is I think I may have both the Grand Champion and the X Division Champion cash in at the same time at the pay-per-view. Seems like something that I kind of want to do, but I also kind of want to have the Grand Champion and the X Division Champion fight, maybe unify that. I don't know. We'll see. We'll keep things interesting. Let's for this matchup, for our TV taping, I just want to stick my toe in the water with a Marty Scurll, Will Ospreay matchup. Right? No titles on the line. No nonsense. We'll just put them in the ring and let them go. And I won't care who wins. They'll go all out. It'll be decisive, and that'll be that. And we'll see how that goes, just to dip my toe in the water and see how these two handle going one-on-one with one another. And then in the coming weeks and coming TV tapings, Marty will face Sammy, Will Ospreay will face Sammy Callahan, and then we'll be set up for a triple threat match. We'll be set up for whatever it is we decide to do without overbooking the same match over and over and over again. So that's our main event for today, Marty Scurll and Will Ospreay. Now we need to find an opponent for Bully Ray that he can put over from our list of talented performers here. Bully Ray is a big heavyweight, and he is a brawler. And I don't believe we have... Yeah, we don't have any heavyweights sitting on the card right now. That's very odd. Bunch of lightweight, middleweight, cruiserweight guys. Lance Hoyt and Harry Smith, of course. I think we're going to have to... I like the idea of Brian Cage and Bully Ray. Brian was in that main event picture for a little while as the Impact World Champion. So we'll see how this one goes. I'm not a big fan of it. I may find somebody else for Bully to take on. Not really sure. Alright, let's see what else we're working with here. We gotta find something for Sammy to do while his potential opponent is in the main event. And Sammy can go one-on-one with Eddie Edwards, just for the fun of it. These guys had some immensely brutal matches in actual Impact Wrestling about a year or so ago. These two were just crazy against each other. It was such a good matchup. It was... The storyline leading up to it was great. There's not a whole lot of words I can say about it. It was just one of those instances where you just had a stellar performance. Alright, so I have not yet had the Killer Elite Squad really get a shot at the tag team titles, and I think we're going to get that picture going here and give them sort of a number one contender type setup here as we head to the pay-per-view. Give them a non-title match first, and then we'll build from there. And then Tessa needs a new opponent as well, our women's champion, Tessa Blanchard. So who could we utilize? I like Kiera Hogan. She put on one of the best matches out of the women's division we've seen in a while. Really, since I started booking Impact. So we'll have Tessa, and we'll build to Kiera Hogan. Actually, I think I'll put Kiera and Tennille Taylor in a number one contenders match for the Impact Knockouts Championship. I like this idea. I like this idea a lot. And then think we'll book Tessa. I don't want to book her against Io Shirai because that match did not go well. We'll book her against Kairi Sane and just kind of a matchup for the women's championship, just to give Tessa an actual legitimate title defense like she was supposed to get the last time around that we didn't get a chance to give her. Kairi Hojo's not happy with that. Furious at the booking of the match. I don't know what to tell you. I'm sorry. I don't really know what to say. I mean, you're gonna put her over, and that's gonna be the end of it. I'm sorry to tell you that, but it's the way it is. All right, so we've got our women's matchups all booked out. We've got 2, 4, 6, 7 talents left in the upper portion of the card. I want to see what TJP can do against Johnny Impact. A couple of guys who can fly around the ring, do a lot of impressive looking things, but also are pretty solid technically too, which is what I like to see. So we'll slide them in there. And then I also want to see another matchup that, quite honestly, would be really appealing to me to watch in real life, and that's Alex Shelley and Sean Spears. I love the idea of this matchup. We'll slide that in right there. Alright, now we've got a triple threat match we need to book. Between Eli Drake, Jay Lethal, and Rich Swann. So book this out. And there we go. 125 minutes. Which actually we can probably back that down a little bit to 15 minutes. There we go. 120 minutes. Okay, we are at 2 hours on the dot. Our television friends will be happy. Hopefully, this is a good show. Here we go. We're going to run it. Not a bad matchup. To start things off, Kairi Hojo and Tessa Blanchard getting things set off quickly. Great matchup between TJP and Johnny Impact. The announcing quality wasn't up to the same standard as the match. Yeah, that sounds about right. Another great matchup from Penta and Phoenix, along with Killer Elite Squad. An okay match, which we forgot to change it from a slow build approach, so that kind of made it suffer a little bit. But a good match nonetheless. Kiera Hogan, Tennille Taylor, not that great, and they are awkward in their performance together, so we have to keep that in mind. Alex Shelley and Sean Spears did okay. Bully Ray, Brian Cage did okay, and Marty Scurll, Will Ospreay was fantastic. And last but not least, Eddie Edwards, Sam Callahan, great matchup there as well. The announcers are hurting us bad. Thankfully, Josh Matthews has less than a month left on his deal, and actually I don't think he's on a written deal, so I could let him go at any time, especially now that we have Joey Styles on board and Layfield, JBL, John Bradshaw Layfield. Our show increased popularity in 21 regions, so good job on that show. Really cool stuff there. Glad to see that. And we'll see what our ratings come in at. There we go. So let's see what we got going on. No big signings, except for Mark Haskins, who is just a ridiculously talented wrestler. 4,255 fans for a TV taping. That's pretty awesome. So we've got some guys that are a little beat up. Our ratings also back up, so that's pretty good. Pretty happy there. Kairi Hojo is pissed off that she had to take a loss. Wah, wah, wah. Alright, we'll give you $3,000 to not be salty. Oh, okay. Well, you're still salty. Here's 10 grand. Enjoy. Now she's just irritated. Okay, well, stay irritated then. I just won't put you on TV. Whatever. Alright, so as promised, we, Josh Matthews is on a written deal, but he's got 11 days left, so peace out. We're going to pay him anyway. Bye-bye. And, let's see, Jimmy Jacobs was also on there, and really don't have any plans for him, plus he's on a paper appearance deal. I love Jimmy as a person, but I don't have a place for him right now on the promotion, so sorry, Jimmy. Alright, so now we don't have TV announcers. We gotta fix that. Joey Styles, JBL, welcome to TV. There we go. I'm sure Vince McMahon will absolutely love the fact that I have JBL and Joey Styles on Impact TV. Alright, so that's going to wrap up this episode, our 10th episode. Big thanks to Restream.io for allowing us to stream on multiple platforms at the same time. We are over the $100 million mark by $4,800, so we might be on our way to a profitable month finally. We've got a lot of momentum going our way. Our prestige is going up. We have improved our popularity in a bunch of different regions. I am pleased with how things are going. It's been a slow build and a slow climb, but with the right moves at the right time and the right booking, I really think we can get Impact to the #1 promotion in Total Extreme Wrestling 2013. That's going to do it for us. My name is the Mayor Jason Smith. Be excellent to each other.